Assalamualaikum and good morning. Hi, my name is Ajmal Zahin bin Muhammad Nazri. So today, me and my teammates are going to present about our group project that is about corruption. Our groups are consist of Nur Azwin Nadira binti Azizan, Nur Shamilah binti Yusof, me Ajmal Zahin bin Muhammad Nazri, Aiman Iqbal bin Yusaini, and Kishan Anal Alaki Yogaswaran. So, for the introduction, corruption is a form of deception, act, or a criminal wrongdoing that is undertaken by a person or an organization that is entrusted or in charge in a position of authority in order to acquire illicit benefits or abuse power for personal benefits. The word of corruption itself is obtained from the Latin word corruptus, which means corrupted. In a legal terms, it is the abuse of a trusted position in the branches of power, either executive, legislative, judicial, political, or other organization, with the intention of acquiring beneficial material which is not legally justified for itself or for others. There are three factors that influence the development of corruption, which is the first, political economic environment, the second, professional ethics and legislations, habits, customs, traditional, and demography. Some of the causes that is based on political and economic environment is the first, lack of stability in transitions to a newly elected government, which will certainly be associated with public sector of corruption. The monopoly of power that is artificially created enables civil servants to receive bribes that are based on their superior position and embedded in the system. The third, the ineffective and unclear regulations lead to inhibition and therefore encourage people to do bribes in order to gain personal benefits or to speed up the bureaucratic procedure. Corruption is also strongly influenced by the low salaries of public state officials who are trying to improve their financial position by receiving bribes. Next, bribery and deceptive practices seems to have become ingrained in some parts of the sector and territories, which in some cases have accepted as a norm. Besides that, some irresponsible people would also use bribes in order to eliminate competition. Last but not least, poor state of public administration, which in turn causes overcrowding of political officials, in which loyalty usually wins over professional standards that strongly affects the corruption. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aiman Iqbal bin Yusaini. My number metric is CN210296. Today I will present our factor that influence the development of corruption for professional ethnic and regulation. For the first point is the corruption must and spread as a result of a lack of professional ethnic and effective regulation governing corruption as a criminal violence. Number two, the effective sanitary of corruption also has a significant impact as it rising the likelihood of individual involved continuing their corruption behavior. Number third, the sole lack of professional ethnic is a unique problem as administration need very amounts of team to build or change their ethnic and professional standard. Next, in exactly in transaction countries, that is a soft form of corruption are frequently regarded as acceptable and justified. As a result, even in a country that commercializing corruption effectively, there is a prevalence a kind of a legal corruption view. Last but not least, corruption where there is the lack of legal foundation or political will to control, allowing for non-transparent functioning of both political and their economies. The last intensive acute or integrate a regulation which can be the interpret in a variety of the ways, contribute to corruption, like for the benefit for the one way who pays. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Greetings to my dear lecturer and also my dear friends. My name is Kishan Yogiswaran and I will be presenting on the factors that influence the corruption development, which is habits, customs, tradition, and also demographic. The perception of corruption varies among nations. For instance, in Europe, there is two extremes, which is northern governance and also southern governance. So in the northern governance, corruption is totally intolerable, but in the southern governance, corruption is common and socially accepted by the community over there. When we talk about habits and traditions in corruption, especially in governing bodies or any form of organizational, public sector or maybe private sector, sometimes a thank you present for a service is sometimes regarded as a sign of courtesy, but in other cultures, especially in organizational culture, it is seen as corruption. So let me explain to you in detail. For example, if your boss asks you to do something that is out of your job scope and you're not paid for that salary, or it is even can be illegal to for you to do in any organizational, but he requires you to do it, and end of the day when you do it, you finish him the job and he will be paying you extra money out of the paper or not shown in any what salary slips, or maybe it could be also in any object price such as gifts, watches, sometimes cars, houses, and things may go to a further extent in this kind of corruption in organizational. Socio-economic position and personal qualities play an essential influence in the development of corruption perception at micro level, employing a large and very heterogeneous set of data and econometrics. When I say this, it means that socio-economic position of an employee or the employer may affect the corruption level. It is also because an economic situation or position of an employee or employer may affect corruption because, let's say, if an employee is having a low income and he doesn't know how to increase his income in a proper way, in a legal way, he might go around the bush by doing something off his job scope and getting him extra paid off the paper. So it is not shown on the what salary slip or even in any tax paying method. Moreover, regarding the demographic is another key aspect that influence corruption. According to several studies, patriarchal societies are more prone to corruption. This is supported by a number of studies that look into the extent to which men and women are also both involved in this corruption. So when we are talking about demographic, it may involve men and also women, and it may vary in age and more aspects. Several previous contributions to the issue over whether men or women are more corrupt, particularly econometric ones, argued that there is a link between a higher presence of women in government and lower level of corruption. When there is involvement of men, are basically showing that these studies, men are being ambitious and they need more and more in whatever aspects, especially in these organizationals, and they expect more things to come after them for successful financially. And that's it for the habits, customs, traditions, and demographic in corruption. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Azri Nadira and I will continue with country that successful in controlling corruption. The International Anti-Corruption reports that Denmark, New Zealand and Finland rank first of least corrupt countries in the world. This chart shows that a country with the highest score, 88, was Denmark, and Singapore is the only Asian country that has least of corruption, while Malaysia continued to fall from 57 to 62 out of total of 180 countries, followed by Indonesia with 38 points. Then Russia is at the bottom with 29 points, making it the country with the highest cases of corruption. To compare Malaysia and Singapore, which country that successful in controlling corruption, a lecturer at the Department of History, Faculty Arts and Social Science, University of Malaya, Professor Shakila Yaakob, she suggested Malaysia to reform of the law to ensure that the post of Chief Commissioner was appointed by Parliament, as well as the separation of powers between the Attorney General and the Prosecutor. She suggested MACC staff need to be reviewed by appointing individuals who are qualified, highly educated and have strong values of integrity. And the last one, the amendment of the Constitution and laws. But in Singapore, has long imposed an action against corruption based on the political will to fight corruption, as well as the ongoing vigilance by the public sector and the general public to curb corruption. They also foster economic stability by enforcing zero tolerance practice towards corruption. That's all for me. Thank you.
Next, let me explain about can technology innovation reduce corruption. Large-scale corruption is a topic for another discussion, but petty corruption is the type of corruption that slowly eats away at the system day by day. Corruption also has a negative impact on economic growth, democracy, governance, and the rule of law. The question now is how technology can assist. To begin with, technology has ushered in the information age, allowing for the frictionless dissemination of information. Institutions can use technology to make critical information about public service more accessible to the public and thereby increase transparency. Furthermore, public database data can help identify and data fraud risks, complicated networks, and corrupt activities according to a World Economic Forum report. Through the automation of governmental process, technology can also reduce red tape. Complex procedures are time-consuming and frequently lead to corruption. However, technology can only be used to combat corruption if the public is prepared with necessary abilities. To put it another way, a new set of information asymmetry arising from the usage of modern technology might exacerbate current information imbalance. Technology advancements are assisting in the fight against corruption by encouraging governments and the commercial sector to improve transparency and citizens to demand greater accountability. For example, potential whistleblowers have more reporting options, including encrypted message. After that, mobile technology and applications are being utilized to harness data and gain faster insight. In developing countries, this technology is being used to empower citizens in remote areas, making information more accessible, and there is no reason why the success of this technology could not be used in the fight against corruption. So we can talk technology innovation can reduce corruption. Digitalization of government, internal procedures, and data-driven technology advance should be investigated to boost integrity system and reduce corruption rates.
As the conclusion, corruption is a very big barrier in improving and renewing particular system of organization. It is because corruption tends to only provide disadvantages. As an example of the disadvantages is the reputation of the respected organization or governing body will be damaged. Moreover, the corruption erodes our faith in government's ability to act in our best interest. So, as we know, a good governance provides an environment where corruption has a hard time flourishing. It is because a good governance consists of 9 good qualities, which is honesty, transparency, responsiveness, governing bodies, independent management, legislations, efficiency, fairness, justice, and accountability. These good qualities will only tend to provide a good governing body and also a good organizations, no matter private sector or public sector. That's it. Thank you.